The lawyer's office smelled like polished wood and quiet decisions. My parents sat side by side across the conference table, composed in the way people are when they've rehearsed something together. My sister sat to my mother's right, legs crossed, BMW keys on the table like a subtle underline. The estate attorney spoke in neutral tones about asset distribution, the house, the investment accounts, the trust. Then my father cleared his throat. We've decided your sister will receive the house and the trust fund. He paused, searching for a word that sounded softer than it was. You've always been difficult. Independent. Difficult. It wasn't new. It was the family shorthand for me asking questions, for reading contracts before signing them, for refusing to co-sign loans I didn't understand, for declining to just trust a business idea that lacked documentation. I smiled at my sister. She smiled back, relieved more than triumphant. The attorney slid a paper toward me. A formal acknowledgement. I signed it. No speech, no protest. I stood, adjusted my coat, and said, I hope it all works out. My mother looked almost disappointed that I didn't argue. 6 months passed without much contact. I focused on work. Compliance analysis for a mid-sized financial firm isn't glamorous, but it teaches you to spot patterns, unexplained transfers, unrealistic returns, enthusiasm that outruns math. Occasionally I saw glimpses of my sister's new life online. Photos in front of the house she now owned. A caption about early retirement goals. A vague mention of a high-yield opportunity at a family dinner before I stopped attending. She had once described it, cryptocurrency arbitrage tied to offshore exchanges. I had asked about regulation. You're always so negative, she'd said, laughing. My father had waved it off. You worry too much. Not everything is a scam. I didn't bring it up again. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, my phone vibrated nonstop in a meeting. When I stepped into the hallway afterward, I saw 47 missed calls, all from Mom. I called back. She answered on the first ring, breath uneven. The FBI just showed up at your sister's door. There it was. Authority in 3 letters. What happened? I asked. They had badges. A warrant. They took her laptop. They're saying something about securities fraud and wire transfers. I don't understand any of it. What did she do with the money? I leaned against the cool hallway wall. I kept my voice even. What money, Mom? The trust. She invested it. They're saying the platform was under investigation. That funds were commingled. That some of it might have been facilitating transactions. Facilitating transactions. That's the kind of phrase that appears in indictments. Did Dad sign anything? I asked. I don't know. She whispered. He trusted her. Trusted her. I pictured the house, the car, the accounts I had signed away without argument. The narrative had been simple. She was responsible, ambitious, capable. I was cautious, skeptical, obstructive. Are they arresting her? I asked. They said she's not under arrest yet. But they're reviewing records. They asked about the source of funds. I closed my eyes briefly. Mom, I said carefully. Federal agents don't show up without a paper trail. There's likely been an investigation for months. She was quiet. Can you fix this? She asked. There it was, the pivot. 6 months ago, I had been too difficult to include. Now I was the one who understood how systems worked. I can't fix anything, I said. I'm not her attorney. And I'm not involved, but you know about this stuff. You always warned her. Warned her. I remembered that dinner. The way she'd rolled her eyes when I mentioned unregulated exchanges. The way Dad had said, stop trying to control everything. I asked questions. I said, that's different. My mother started crying in a way I hadn't heard before, not dramatic, just unraveling. Your father doesn't know what to do. I imagined him at the kitchen table, the same place he'd labeled me difficult. Papers spread out. The weight of signatures he hadn't read. You need a federal defense attorney. I said. Not a family discussion. And you? I'll send you a list of firms that specialize in financial crimes. There was a long pause. Are you angry? She asked quietly. I considered it. I'm not surprised. The honesty seemed to land harder than anger would have. After we hung up, I stood in the hallway a while longer. People moved past me. Unaware that somewhere across town, agents were cataloging my sister's devices, I didn't feel vindicated. I felt something closer to confirmation. Being difficult had always meant I required clarity, documentation, evidence. She had been rewarded for confidence, for boldness, for not questioning the promise of fast returns. Now the difference wasn't theoretical. Later that evening, Dad called. His voice sounded smaller. You could have pushed harder, he said, not accusing. Just searching. For what? For us to listen. I thought about that. You didn't want to listen, I said gently. You wanted agreement. Silence. What happens now? He asked. Now, I replied. The government decides. It wasn't dramatic. Just true. Before bed, I opened my laptop and drafted an email with contact information for reputable defense attorneys. No commentary. No, I told you so. I hovered over send for a moment. Then I sent it. I wasn't part of the trust. I wasn't part of the scheme. I wasn't part of the investigation. But for the first time, I wasn't the family liability either. Sometimes difficult just means you read the fine print. And sometimes that's the only inheritance that matters.